Hey everybody and welcome. I'm just about to get started in making my dinner, but if you know me, it's going to be quick, it's going to be simple, and it's going to be easy. So I'm a big fan of pepper steak, so today that's what I'm going to make for dinner. So let me just wash my hands before we get started. Before we get started, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so that when I do new videos, you'll be one of the first to see them. Like I said, we have to wash our hands. Make sure our hands are clean before we get started. I hope y'all are out there staying warm. It's been so cold lately. I don't know about you or where you are, but where I am, it's been cold. Hence, I've got my turtleneck on today, making sure I stay warm. So, again, we're going to make some pepper steak with onions tonight for dinner. It's something simple. It's an easy weeknight meal that you can whip up real fast. And let's just go through the things that you're going to need to make this recipe. So, to start out, you're going to need some ground. You're going to need some beef, preferably some that have been cut in strips. You can buy a steak or you can buy it in strips. If you buy a steak, then you can just cut it in strips yourself. But again, if you're making this during the week, this is going to save you a step. So I buy it already cut in strips, and that's how you can find it in your supermarket. So some of the other ingredients that you're gonna need is some peppers. I've got here yellow, green, orange, and red. But if you wanted to just use two, you can use two, or if you wanted to use all four, it's up to you. You're gonna need some beef bouillon, some spices, onion and garlic powder, some black pepper, of course, my favorite. You're gonna need some soy sauce. That's going to give your sauce a lot of flavor, some sazon, and some salt. So to get started, what I've done here in a bowl here, I've gotten some sliced onions that I've already sliced and some red and green peppers. So I'm going to add the rest of our peppers now to the ones that I already have there. While I do that, let me find a knife here. Oh, here's my knife. So, again, pepper steak is one of those go-to meals that I like to cook a lot because it's quick. It doesn't take a lot of time to cook, and you can just whip it up in no time. So you want to just cut it into strips like that, and then just put it right into your bowl. And it's better to have fresh peppers for this dish. It tastes so much better when you have fresh peppers as opposed to peppers that's been sitting, or maybe they're getting ready to be thrown out. Those are not the peppers you want to use for this dish, because the fresher the pepper, the better it's going to taste. So you want to use peppers because we like a lot of variety, right? So we're going to use different color ones. We got orange here as well. So I would say probably 3/4 of each type of pepper that you use. Now, if you've got, I guess it really depends on how much pepper steak you're making. Now, if you're making 2 packs of pepper steak, I would say use a whole pepper for this dish. So if you're going to use a red pepper and a green pepper, use all of it, because that way you'll have enough for the dish. So I'm using, like I said, I'm using 4 different types. So I'm going to use about 3/4 of a pepper um, for this dish. So it really depends on how much pepper steak that you're making it. Now I would say for 1 pack of pepper steak, you're probably going to get about 1 pound of meat. That's going to feed about 2 or 3 people. But if you want to feed about 4 to 6 people, then I would do 2 packages of the meat. So we've already washed our meat. Make sure you're washing your meat to make sure it's clean. And we have it here in our bowl so that we could mix it. To our bowl, we're going to add our seasonings that we just mentioned. We're going to add some garlic powder, a good amount. We're going to add some onion powder. Why? Because we need to have flavor to the meat, right? Nobody likes bland meat. So we got to season up our meat to make sure it tastes good. And black pepper. Gonna add some of that. A good amount. Some sazon. Give our meat some good flavor. We're gonna add some ginger. And I just grate it into the bowl. It's easier that way. Just get your grater and just grate it right into the bowl. And I have about a 2.5-inch size piece of fresh ginger that I'm grating in. And the smell is so good. I mean, if this don't get you hungry, I don't know what will. So we got our ginger that's going in. Shake it in. And then we get some soy sauce, dark soy sauce. How that saying goes, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So the darker the soy sauce, the better. So we're going to add that right into our bowl. I have 2 packets here. This is a good way to use up all these old Chinese packets that you have laying around the house. Otherwise, I throw them out. So this is where I use them in my marinades and when I'm cooking dishes like this. So we all have these little packets. We have ketchup, taco sauce, soy sauce. So this is a good time to use all of those things. So all of our things here that we put in the bowl, we're going to just mix them up and let it marinate. It smells so good. So you just want to stir it and let all these flavors blend. So if you were living in a household where you have younger children that are teenagers, or you have a significant other that's living at home, they could actually do this part and let the meat marinate while while you are on your way home from work, so that when you get home, all you got to do is put the food on. So ideally you want to let the meat marinate for about at least 30 to 45 minutes to let the ginger blend in with the meat and the onions and peppers. So ideally you would like to let it sit for a little bit, but in the interest, I'm cooking dinner now, so I'm going to just let it sit for about 10 minutes and then we're going to get started. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more ginger because I like to put quite a bit of ginger in mine. So I will probably use this whole piece that I had. So like I said, I had about 2.5 inch piece of ginger, so I like to put quite a bit, and it gives the meat a really good flavor. So I usually will put quite a bit in there. Okay, a little bit more. What do you guys put in your pepper steak when you're making it? Do you put just onions and peppers? Do you put mushrooms? What do you put in your pepper steak when you make it at home? Let me know, and put in the comments and let me know what you put in your pepper steak when you make it at home. So I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes, like I said, before we put it on. I see I have a couple of pieces of meat here that has not been sliced all the way through. You see that? So when you get a piece of meat like that, you want to just take a moment and then just slice it, because you don't want it to cook that way. So I'm going to just remove it and put it on my cutting board here, and then just slice it up the way that it should be, in strips. Generally, they're pretty good about cutting the meat the way it should be. But when you find it that way, just take it out and remove it, and then just slice it into strips the way it should be, so that your quick meal will cook fast like it should. So we have our meat here that's been seasoned, and now we're going to let it sit aside so it can marinate a little bit. So let's move on to our other parts of our dinner. With our dinner, with our pepper steak, I'm going to make some beef, homemade beef rice-a-roni. So I had that growing up, so I like that with pepper steak. So I'm going to make a homemade version with the pepper steak. So let's make that next. So our meat is gonna sit here for a little bit, and then we're gonna move over to make our rice-a-roni. So come over with me, and I'm gonna make the rice-a-roni. So we have our pan here, and we're going to just put our eye on, put it on medium. And as I said, you're going to need some beef bouillon for this. You're going to need some rice. I've got a bowl of rice here that has some spaghetti pieces that, you know, when you put your spaghetti in your container, your plastic container, and all the pieces at the bottom that have broken up, I've just taken that and put it right in there with the rice. So we're going to use that for the pasta part that you would find in a beef rice-a-roni. So I'm going to get some butter. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my butter here, and I'm using the unsalted butter. So I'm getting my pan hot here. So we're just going to use a little bit of butter and put it in the bottom of our pan so that we could brown our rice and our pasta that we broke up. Y'all remember having beef rice-a-roni when you were younger and your mom making it? I had that sometimes in my house growing up. So I just have about 1.5 cups of rice and also some broken pieces of spaghetti that I have left over. So that's going to go in to the pot. And we're going to just toast it and let it brown a little bit. So you want to give it a stir and let it brown. I'll show you guys once it starts to brown. It smells so good. Yeah, and rice-a-roni is so easy to make. All it is rice and spaghetti that's been broken up. So I'm going to just let it brown a little bit. We're also going to have some carrots with our meal. So I have some whole carrots here that I have here. So I'm going to just add them to some water that I have here on the stove. I'm going to put them into steam. So I've got about a little over a cup that I'm going to just add to the pot here. And they're going to just steam. Put that on medium as well. All right, so we are cooking with gas, y'all. Let's give our rice for our beef rice-a-roni a stir. Have y'all tried to make rice-a-roni at home? Have you guys had rice-a-roni growing up? Oh, it smells so good. Do you remember that smell of the spaghetti or the vermicelli? I think it was vermicelli that they used in the rice-a-roni. But I'm using just broke up spaghetti because that's what I have. If you have vermicelli, use that. But I just have just some spaghetti that I use. So whatever you have is fine. So now that it's getting brown, let me show y'all what it looks like. See that? It's getting nice and brown. See the bottom of that? You got to get nice and toasted brown. So now that it's toasted a little bit, we're going to add some water to it. And then we're going to add some of the beef bouillon here. I've got about a tablespoon and a half of beef bouillon. Okay, so I'm going to get some water. I've got about almost 2 cups of water here. And you add the water in and lower the heat. And then you add in your beef bouillon. And all you do is just stir it. Stir it in. And we're going to just reduce our heat and let this cook for about 20 minutes. It smells so good. If you wanted to add something a little extra to this, you could always add some mushrooms. Mushrooms will be delicious in this. But I'm just making it like I remember. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So I'm just going to lower the heat, put it on low, and then we're going to add our top to it. So we're going to move this over so that we could start our pepper steak. Remember, we have our pepper steak that's been marinating. We added our peppers and our onions to it. So it's been sitting for a few minutes. So we're going to move our homemade beef rice-a-roni over. And then we're going to cook our pepper steak over here on this side. So we're going to make a little room and clean up as we go, right? And I would leave out the beef bouillon because we're going to need a little of that to make our gravy for our pepper steak. So leave that out. Don't put it away. As you're cleaning, just leave it out. So for our pepper steak, we're going to need a little bit of olive oil to get our meat started. I would say about a tablespoon is enough to get started. You want to let the pan heat up so that we'll get a little sizzle when our meat goes in. Let's give our meat a little toss here. So we have our meat here, our pepper steak that we've added some fresh ginger to. We've got some black pepper on it. It's got some soy sauce, remember? And also some onion powder and garlic pepper as well. So I feel like it needs a little bit more pepper for my taste, so I'm going to add just a smidge more of black pepper. So a little bit more black pepper. And I feel like we can add just a little bit more soy sauce. I added 2 little packages that I've had of those Chinese restaurant little packets that you get, but I'm going to add a little more. I mean, I have a bottle here of soy sauce, but again, I told you I like to use up the ones that I get from the Chinese restaurant because otherwise they go to waste. So I'm just going to add about another, just a few more slashes. Just so that our meat is marinated well. We want it to have a lot of flavor. So I'm cooking the pepper steak in a cast iron skillet. Just because it holds heat very well. And I'm going to turn down my beef rice-a-roni is cooking too fast, so I'm going to lower it a little bit. All right, you want to put your rice-a-roni on low because you don't want it to cook too fast, because if it cooks too fast, it's going to be crunchy. So we want it to be soft. So make sure you have your fire on low. So we're going to put in our pepper steak that we have here with our onions and our peppers. Now keep in mind, I've used 4 different types of pepper. I used green, I used yellow, red, and orange. So, but if you don't have all those, just use what you have. So our meat's going in. You hear that little sizzle. We got a little sizzle there, so that's what we want. And we want to just add it in. Add in your meat and your peppers. It smells really, really good. I can't wait. My mouth is watering. So pepper steak, again, is one of those meals that you can make, you know, after you've worked your 9 to 5. It's a good weekday meal because it doesn't take that long to cook. I like meals that, you know, doesn't take that long to cook. So you can whip this up during the week in no time. So we've got our pepper steak in the pan there. We're going to season again to make sure we've got enough seasoning. We add some pepper. I'm going to get a little salt. Hold on. Got some kosher salt here, just a little bit. You don't need much. And then we're going to just let it cook. Ooh, our beef rice Roni is looking so good, y'all. So good. Can y'all see that? I'll show you what it looks like. You see the beef rice Roni? Doesn't that look good? Just like I remember. Just like I remember. And then we have our carrots that we are making for dinner as well. So dinner is on, and we're going to let it cook for about 20 minutes, y'all. And then once it all comes together, I'm going to come back and show you guys what it looks like. But before we leave, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so that when I do another video, you can see it. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys when I get back. Hey everybody, so we have been cooking our pepper steak dinner. So dinner is done and we are going to just make us a plate. So let me just give it one more stir. What we did to finish up the pepper steak is we added a little bit of flour to thicken up our gravy, and it is done. It smells so good, y'all. Can't wait to eat. And then we made our homemade beef rice Roni that we have here. It's nice and fluffy, soft, delicious. We also are having our honey butter carrots with our pepper steak and our homemade beef rice Roni. So let's serve us up some and I'll show you what it looks like on the plate. Okay. Get some of our beef rice Roni. Look at how fluffy that came out. And what I like to do is I like to put the pepper steak right on top of it. Right on top of the beef rice-a-roni. And then we're going to put a little bit of this delicious gravy right on top. And just get a spoon. Get all of that gravy right on top of your pepper steak. And then we won't want to forget our honey butter carrots that we made to go with it. Here we have it, guys. We have our pepper steak with our homemade beef rice-a-roni and honey butter carrots. Let's give it a try. Doesn't that look delicious? So bomb. I cannot wait to eat. Now it's still hot. I don't want to burn my mouth. Delicious. So good. I love that beef rice-a-roni. It's just like I remember. Let's try some of the pepper steak. That beef is so tender, flavorful from all the ginger and the soy that we put on it. It's so good. Well, guys, thank you for spending time with me in the kitchen. I had so much fun with you guys. Let me know how you make your pepper steak when you make pepper steak at home. And let me know what you put in it. If you like recipes like this and other recipes that I've done, give me a thumbs up and let me know what you think and what you like. And also let me know what you want me to cook so that I can do it and cook more videos for you. Well, guys, thank you for spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. Show me a little bit of love. And I'll see you next time on In the Kitchen with Alethea. Bye.